Dear viewers, welcome to this YouTube channel. In this chapter, there will be an explanation on the meanings of the planets 3, Mars 3, as follows. Mars 3 has primary meanings of diligence, staunchness, unyielding, straightforwardness, recklessness, quickness, reasoning, logic, craftsmanship, bravery, sports, fighting, adventure, soldier, police, as well as health, accident and metal. Use them appropriately. 1. Mars 3 is Tanu-Sed. It clearly implies that the native is diligent. Concisely, without referring to the dignity and Bhava or house, it is a subject that is separately described. 2. Mars 3 is Tanu-Lak. Tanu-Lak, or the ruling inner house planet in Tanu. The native will be diligent, tough, unyielding, skeptically and stubborn. With good reasons, but when being unreasonable, the native will not admit it. No matter what dignity or Bhava the planet is in, the native will still possess these characteristics since they represent the innate character of the native. If it relates to the ascendant, it will be more obvious since these traits will be demonstrated. If it is unrelated to the ascendant, these traits will not be demonstrated and therefore unobservable. Though the person still possesses these characteristics deep inside as inner talents and innate character, the dignity and the Bhava are also involved. If it is in karma Bhava, the native will always be obsessed and busy with work. Mars 3 encourages diligence. Many that have the ascendant in Aries and Mars 3 as non-ascendant related Tanu-Lak that have exaltation dignity in karma Bhava will be lazy in general. However, the native will become very diligent once the native works with something that she has passion for. Most importantly, do not forget that when Tanu-Lak conjoins with other planets, the native's habits and skills will be affected according to the meanings and dignities of the planets. It doesn't matter how many conjoined planets there are. For instance, Mars 3 is Tanu-Lak that conjoins with the Moon 2, that has detriment dignity in a non-ascendant related house. The native will become courteous, soft-hearted and meek. If Tanu-Lak is not conjoined, the native will only be rough with no manners. For other cases they will be the same as for the cases about the Sun. 1. Mars 3 is conjoined with the ascendant implies that the primary meaning of Mars, namely diligence, will be prominent no matter what dignity it has. The only differences are just the details. Even though Uranus 0 becomes conjoined with it, the primary meaning of diligence will not be changed, but may be affected and become unstable. Mars 3 is conjoined with the ascendant and has exaltation dignity implies that the diligence will be constant. The native will be able to put effort into anything that can be done until the finish. In other words, it is considered reasonable efforts. Mars has debilitation or detriment dignity and is negative will lead to another consequence. The native will be diligent on unreasonable things and therefore will not lead to productivity. Mahachakra dignified Mars implies that diligence will be adequate and periodical. Though under right circumstances the native may become very diligent so that the degree is even higher than the case of exaltation. Mars 3 is conjoined with the ascendant and has exaltation. Dignity implies that the logic, staunchness as well as fury will always be presented. If Mars has debilitation and detriment dignity and is negative, the logic will be unusual, namely too much or too little. Sometimes the native may become unreasonable and submissive. Although angered, the native will not take any action. Mahachakra dignified Mars implies that the logic is normal but sometimes will be more than the case of exaltation. Therefore, anger will be more intensified so that the native loses control of him/herself sometimes. For other dignities, their meanings just need to be included. Mars, 3, is positive and relates to the ascendant. Normally the native is diligent, unyielding, straightforward, furious, hot-tempered, direct, quick, brave, skeptically, logical, reasonable, skilled in craftsmanship and healthy. These traits are demonstrated and are remarkable. If the dignity is neutral, they will be only at adequate level. If it conjoins with the ascendant and has domicile dignity as Tanu-Lak and or Tanu-Sed, they have to be included too. If it has exaltation dignity, the native will be constantly diligent, etc. Mahachakra dignity implies that the native is adequately diligent, but under certain circumstances she will become very diligent and will keep on doing things until they are finished. Raja Yoga implies that the diligence will depend on the native's sentiment. The degree percentage will be according to the relation, conjunction, opposition, sextile and trine. The native that has Mahachakra or exaltation dignified Mars, 3, that conjoins with the ascendant will normally be a direct, rough and loud person. Even if it is a female, she will be a stout woman. In case Jupiter, 5, is positive and relates to the ascendant and or is Tanu-Sed, it will help with mindfulness and therefore could suppress certain negative traits. If Mercury is conjoined, it will help with thoroughness and elaboration and therefore could soften up the native. The Moon, 2, will help with the manners to become better. The Sun, 1, will help with shamefulness and guilt. Venus, 6, will help with artistry and imagination. Therefore, every planet has a role to play in order to enhance or suppress certain traits. Therefore, the related planets have to be taken into consideration when predicting. The degree of influence in percentage will depend on the relation, conjunction, opposition, sextile and trine. As a positive planet that relates to the ascendant, it is considered auspicious. The suitable careers are technician, athlete, metal-related work, soldier, and police. They will lead to prosperity and popularity. Consider other planets for further details. It is also convincing when the native gives a reasonable speech. Consider Mercury for further details. Mars, 3, is positive or neutral and is unrelated to the ascendant. If Mars, 3, is positive but is not ascendant related, the native will not be diligent. In the worst case, the native will be lazy. Though under right circumstances the native can be forced to work effectively. On the contrary, if the planet is in Karma Bhava, the native will be very diligent and obsessed with work while not willing to spend time on other things. For other traits such as staunchness, unyielding, bluntness, quickness, bravery, skepticism, logic, reasoning and craftsmanship will not be demonstrated. Therefore, it is hard for the peers to observe these traits. The native does not reveal things about him/herself easily. Although the native still possesses these traits as inner talents. As a non-ascendant related planet, it is considered inauspicious. Even though it is positive, these traits will not be observable for the peers since the native is not very open. Therefore, it will not lead to popularity amongst the people. Mars 3 is negative and is related to the ascendant. The native will be diligent without being focused on completing important tasks. The logic may also be either too much or lacking. Sometimes the native is submissive without a good reason. Sometimes the native appears to be steadfast but with no real purpose. There are some remarkable craftsmanship skills that the native has. The degree of percentage will depend on the relation, conjunction, opposition, sextile and trine. As an ascendant-related planet, but with a negative dignity, it is considered inauspicious. Auspiciousness is a neutral word. When it is positive, it is called auspicious. When it is negative, it is called inauspicious. A negative planet that encourages demonstration of negative behaviors will not lead to popularity amongst the peers. Mars 3 is negative and is unrelated to the ascendant. If it is not related to the ascendant, it implies that the native is lazy. Moreover, the native will be submissive and lack of craftsmanship as well as having unusual logic. Although these abilities can be found as inner talents, but they are negligible. The health is also poor. In case it represents Tanu-Lak or Tanu-Lak is conjoined, it will be comparable to the case of negative planet that relates to the ascendant as mentioned before. If it is in karma bhava, it implies that the native is diligent only at work while she is not quite diligent with other things. As a non-ascendant related planet, it is considered inauspicious since it is negative and does not encourage demonstration of traits. Therefore, it will not lead to popularity amongst the peers and it will be harmful with related careers. 3. Mars 3, as external factors. Represents warrior, soldier, athlete, red mixed with black color and metal. The native that is fortunate with metal has to meet the same conditions as in case of the Sun, 1, with gold as mentioned earlier. 4. Mars 3, with its pair will be able to enhance and suppress another planet's influence. Mars 3 represents mainly the meanings of diligence, sturdiness, logic and reasoning, but it can also play a significant role in affecting another planet's influence. For instance, when it conjoins with its kindred pair Jupiter, 5, both of them will be enhanced. Therefore, the seniors will be more favorable and supportive towards the native. The native will also be more mindful and virtuous. When it conjoins with its friendly pair Venus, 6, both of them will be enhanced. Therefore, lustfulness may be increased and life may be affected by it. When it conjoins with its elemental pair Rahu, 8, it will make the native to be brave in a reasonable way, Mars, and reckless, no reason, Rahu. Life can be changed because of these things. Given that Mars 3 is positive and related to the ascendant and or represents Tanu-Sed, then relates to the Sun. 1. All three conditions, plus conjoining with Jupiter. 5. These planets will help to suppress the negative influence of Rahu. 8. Even though Rahu, 8, is powerful, its influence will be reduced. 5. Mars, 3, is influential over a house to make it become strong or weak. Bhava or house will become strong or weak depending on the dignity of the planet. It doesn't matter if it is a large or small planet. If Tanu Bhava has Mars, 3, that is positive and conjoins with the ascendant or is Tanu-Lak, the native will have a strong horoscope according to the dignity of the planet. Therefore, life will become successful in an easy way. When the horoscope is weak, it would still be alright. In case Kadampa Bhava, the financial house has Mars, 3, that is positive as an outer house planet or as the ruling house, the native will be wealthy according to the dignity of the planet. Therefore, the fate of the native may differ depending on the dignity of Mars, 3. Although Mars, 3, is considered neither beneficial nor harmful in itself, the dignity of it and the relations to others will greatly affect the outcome. The bhavas too may also affect the outcome. When Mars, 3, is related to the ascendant, it implies that the native is diligent. The dignity will then determine if it will be productive or not. On the other hand, when it is not related to the ascendant, it implies that the native may lack diligence. Though when it is necessary or the native is forced to do something, she can become diligent. On the other hand, if the planet is negative, the native will be lazy even when being forced to do something. But when Tanu-Lak is conjoined with the planet or Tanu-Lak is in karma, the native is only diligent at work. Please stay tuned for the upcoming episodes.